So again, we went through all of the steps that were in here on this page. So I'm taking it for granted that everybody did all this. You got up to here, you created the connection, that demo DB data set, that's probably what it says here right now. All right, so with that said, close this. Just click the X up here. Everybody, close it. And my hope is, again, we're trying something, and what I'm about to have you do, it works for everybody. I want you to right mouse click over here on the name of your database, right mouse click and choose open. Right mouse click and choose open, right there. And does it now look like this on the left-hand side of your database? All right, that's good. Is there anybody whose does not look like that? Because now we can go in and we can create the schema, and after we create the schema, we're going to put in the records. All right, so I've turned to page 4 on this handout that I gave you. And what we can do right now, all right, is literally we're up to step 9. What I'd like you to do, you look up on the screen here, is to right mouse click where it says tables. You should have a folder that says tables. Right mouse click on it and choose add new table. All right, so right mouse click on that, choose add new table. And that should bring you up to this. Let me know if there's anybody when you try to bring it up if it doesn't look like this. All right, again, yours might be wider, narrower, etc. That's not a big thing. I'm going to make sure I got a lot of room in mine. Now, just so you know, there are 2 ways that you can come in here and create your tables. You can create them up here. Some people like that because it's a little bit more graphical. We're going to do it down here because we're going to have total control over what we do. All right? So the first thing I'd like you to do is where it says DBO table, I'd like you to highlight the word table, keep those brackets that are in there, and type in the word customers. Now, if you type it in incorrectly, in other words, if you're spelling deficient, you're probably going to have a wrong database name in there. You can go in and change it, but I will tell you, when you start working with this stuff, it gets real hinky. Sometimes you go and you tell it to change a name of something, and it takes it, and then you go back, and it hasn't changed it in here. So just take your time, make sure you spell it correctly. All right? So that's the first thing. All right? And you'll notice right now, what happens is every table that you create by default has a single field in it. That single field is called ID. The problem is, let's pretend for a second that we were going back. Remember that sales order example that we had been working on? We had 8 tables in there. If you had 8 tables that were all called ID, that could get confusing. All right? So what we're going to do is we're going to come in here, and instead of ID, we're going to change the name of this one to Customer ID with a big I and a big D in it, like that. I'd like you to do that now, please. It's letting us know that by default, this will be an integer field, and it'll be our primary key. You all should know by now what a primary key is. 3 words. Primary key is unique record identifier. So for each record that we have in this table, each one will have its own customer ID. All right? So that's the first thing. Now, come to the end here after the word key, put in a comma, hit enter, and we're going to put in basically everything that you see in the middle here of on page 4. So in other words, in brackets, company name. I don't know what happened there. Company name. You can get as anal about this stuff as you want to. If you want stuff to line up, you can make it line up. You don't have to have it line up. It really doesn't matter one way or the other, but I'm just showing you this. All right? So if you want to do that, you can. If you say, I don't care if it's lined up or not, that's totally fine. So when you get done, it should look like this. And what you should notice is if you look up on top, it's filled that stuff in too. It's changed the name up there from ID to customer ID, and it's added the company name, the contact name, and the phone. And you'll notice for the allow nulls are both set for contact name and for phone, but they're not set for the other ones. Am I right in assuming everyone was able to do that okay? All right, because we're going to make a modification to this in just a minute. All right, but for now, all right, look up on the screen, please. You notice that way up near the top, right up above this, you see update with an arrow. Everybody see that? Go ahead and click on the word update that's right there. Just click on the word update. And if it works correctly, if it all works correctly, why it's taking that long, it usually goes like that, but it's not. That's nice. When you start running software like that and it kicks you off and then it gets you back in again, probably is time to uninstall and reinstall that software. But I'm not going to do that just because I'm going to be putting in 2019. So, all right. So it looks like I lost everything I had in there. That's no big thing. I'll add new table. I'm just going to put it all back in here again. That's fine. Wow. So it has now kicked me out twice of Visual Studio. That's fantastic. All right, for the rest of you, and I'll have to go back and try to get this to work on my own. If you look up on the screen, please, I'm not going to keep going because, you know, if it's going to keep knocking me out, I'm wasting your time. So this is the schema. All right? This is everything you were supposed to type in. When you got done, you were supposed to click the word update here. If you did and everything worked, all right, show you this right here. We'll come back to it, but it's fine. You should have gotten this. All right? When this came up, you just click Update Database. All right? When that comes up, you click Update Database. And here's a surprise. That should update the database. Now, if you look up on the screen, please, because what I'm going to show you, you should have, but I won't have for some goofy reason. Now, if you look under here, it may not show any tables. Even though you just created it, it may not show any tables. If yours does not, right mouse click on the tables folder and choose refresh, then it should show you a table that's in there, the one you just created. All right? Occasionally what happens, and I don't know why, I've read different articles that give different reasons, but if you look up on the screen, occasionally when you bring your schema up or another schema, it's going to have a red X by it, like you see right here. If that happens, and you're like, well, how do I fix that? You right mouse click on it, and you choose refresh. That's all you should have to do. All right, just so you know that. All right. So I kind of did it a little bit out of order, but it'll be fine, really. All right, I want you to go back. This is going to be really great because I can't really show it to you. All right, but okay, so you've got yours is filled in. Again, I can do it one more time, but I don't really want to. All right, do you still have the table up here with all your stuff in it? I'm asking you that. Do you still have the table? All right. Then what I'd like you to do is to take your mouse and put it right there where on that field that yours says customer ID. Put it right on the field that says customer ID. All right? Then look on the screen, please. Look in your properties window. If your properties window is not showing, right mouse click on the field and choose, you should be able to choose properties. All right. Otherwise, if it still isn't showing when you're clicking on it, then do a view and go to properties window, wherever the heck that is in here, down near the bottom. All right. But I want you to have this up there. Do you see where it says identity specification? Does everybody see that? All right. Then I want you to click where it says identity specification. All right. And you'll notice where it says is identity, it says false. There's two things you can do here. You can either double click it, which will change it from false to true, or you can just click it, click the down arrow, and make it true. Either way will work. All right, they both do the same thing. The other thing I want you to do with that, if you look up on the screen there, we just made that an auto increment field, but we don't want it to start at 1. We want our first customer to start at 1,000. So where it says identity seed, you've got a 1 and a 1. The second one, change that to 1,000. That means the first customer that we put in will be customer number 1,000. Does that make sense? All right. A lot of times people do this because now when you think about it, I can have basically what? 9,000 customers, right? That will all be 4 digits. And sometimes people don't like it when it goes 1 and there's just 1 digit, then 100, then there's 2 digits, then there's 1,000, then there's 3 digits, etc. All right? And I just wanted to show you how you can automatically increment. That was the idea behind this. All right? What you should notice is it changed it down here too. Again, mine doesn't look like yours because I can't get mine to work right now. But yours should say customer ID in, not null, primary key, and probably identity. It might even say something else. It's fine. All right? What you have to do, though, to write that change out, is you've got to click your update again. And when it comes back and it shows you that screen, you'll want to again choose Update Database. All right? Now I'm going to try this one more time. I don't think it's going to work, but I'm going to try it anyway, just one more time. I've never had this happen before. I've had it a couple times where it has actually kicked me out, made me go back in again, but never like this. So whatever's going on here, oops, I don't know what it is. All right, what you can do then, if you look up on the screen, again, mine looks different than yours because for whatever reason, like I said, I can't get mine to work. Don't know why. All right, but on here, okay, again, you should have the one table in there. I'm not going to go and try to add it again. It's fine. All right, but what you can do is you can right now close the customer's table. If you have a tab up here, you can just click the X. You should not be prompted to save because when you did the update, it saves for you. All right? That's why I've got there, you should not be prompted to save. If you are, please stop and raise your hand. I just wanted you to know that. So what you have done, I have not been successful. Yes? You got a problem when you're saving? Okay. I'm glad you raised your hand then because we want to make sure it gets saved to the right place. All right. If you have not already done so, look up on the screen. Right mouse click here where it says tables. Right mouse click there and click refresh. Right mouse click up here where it says tables and click refresh. Does it now show that you've got a table in there? All right. And if you say, well, it doesn't, if you've got an arrow like this, click the arrow and it should show it. So what you have just done, all right, and we would have done it a lot faster if my darn machine would work. All right. I'm not sure why it's not, but I'll end up going back to my other copy. That's fine. All right. What we're going to do next then, and I am up to page 7 of this handout. All right. So you just went in and did this. You created the schema for the first table. All right. We're going to create a second table. If you look up on the screen, please. Don't worry about the forward key. Don't update it. Don't do a doggone thing. Just right mouse click again on your tables folder. Choose add new table. Come in here and key in this stuff. You don't have to even put in the identity. If you want to manually do it like that, you can. Or you can go back and you can change it. Just the same way that we did it here. You should be able to do it either way. But I'd like you to key in this stuff. The name is orders. There are 4 fields. Order ID, int, not null, primary key, etc. Customer ID. And that says N char. I don't want that to say N char. Make this one, just make this one an int. All right. Make that one an int. Not null. Order date, date time can be null. Order quantity. Once you get to that point, just stop. Don't update. Don't do anything. Just get to that point and stop. Again, if you manually put this in, then you don't have to come over here and do this. If you come over here and you go to identity specification again, set it to true, 1 and 500, then you don't have to type that. All right? So either way, it should work just fine. Yes. Says what? Well, first thing you want to do is change that table name. Make that orders. So again, make sure you go in, change the name of your table to orders, all right, and add those 4 fields. Does everybody understand what each of the fields is and what the identity thing that's in there is doing? Does everybody get that? Did you already put in your second table to the stuff, or is this? That was orders. Yeah, this the order. Yeah, just go ahead. You can just start doing it down there. The good news is for this, we only have to do this once. All right. even to the second part that we're going to be doing either later this week or next week, probably later this week. We don't have to do anything. So again, everybody's to that point, correct? You've got the second table's worth of information in. Now, you've got your choice. Either one of these ways I'm about to show you should work. If you look to the right of where you are, you should see this stuff that's shown right here. It says keys, check constraints, etc. You can either right mouse click where it says foreign key, it'll turn yellow and click on it, or you can manually start typing what I'm about to show you. So you can do it either way. So either, again, off to the side up here, it's near the top right corner, either right mouse click where it says foreign key, choose add foreign key, or if you don't want to do that, you can just start typing. And what do you want to start typing? Everything that's shown here, and it's also on page 8. So you want to start typing this over 2 lines, where it's got the constraint, etc. All right, so you'll need to add a comma here after order quantity, and then type in lines 7 and 8 as they're shown. So when you get done, it should look like this. Once you do that, then you can update the database, as we did before, and close the table. Make sure that your right mouse click where it says foreign key. Yeah. We'll close that. Try it. Right mouse click on the word foreign. And it says add new foreign key. Yeah. Click on that, and then it'll put that down here. You already did it, put it in there twice, so remove one of them. But you basically, like I said, when you get done, you want it to look like this. Yes. What's that? Should we not have the bracket in there? Which brackets? Oh, I don't think it matters, but it may be looking for the parens. All right, that's how I put it. Who's going to Yeah, that's because it's that I think it's wrong. I think that's why. There was actually a mistake in the handout. So I fixed it. I took the screenshot. Yes. Don't make that an in chart 5. Make that an int. Again, make sure on yours for the customer ID, you want it to be an int, not an nchar5. So if you're getting an error, change that to int, and that should get rid of any error that you have.
Why does the table match customer?
Yeah, you have to manually go there and change it. No, that's okay. It started to add the syntax for you, but you want to change it so it looks like this. So what you're saying here is this customer ID that's right here will link up to the customer ID in the customers table. And what that means is, and you're going to hear this word again, we're providing what's called referential integrity. What the heck does that mean? That means that I can't remove a customer if that customer has orders. Everybody hear what I just said? We're linking the two tables. The customer ID field will be in each table. Why is that important? You already know the answer to that. Now we'll be able to join the two tables, right? Because we have a field in common. Has everybody gotten to this point without problem? Or if you have, that you've explained the problem? All right? Your hands, yes. Like I said, we're all glad we only have to do this once. Yes, it's got to be correct, not N-sharp line. I know, there's a mistake on here because I took a screenshot of their document. Their document as well. Again, make sure customer ID in here is type int, not N-sharp. You'll get an error otherwise because there's two different data types. It's an int in one and an N-sharp in the other one. It won't like that. Yes. Well, all I can think of is you said to do is, all right? But when you type in the other table, when you type in customer ID, you can only have one up at a time. So, remember the first table we put in? You maybe can spell it like spell it correct.
Oh, the thinking of
There's the one. You figured it out. So again, if you've not already done so, please then click the update. Go through the same process we went through before. All right. We now, then you can close that table. And if you go back and you right mouse click on your tables folder again, all right, and you choose refresh, you should now have two schemas. One schema for the customers table, one schema for the for the orders table. All right. All right. Now, look on the screen, please. Don't do this. What I'm trying to show you right here is this is what we're about to add. We're about to go in and add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 customers. All right? That's not the right syntax. I just wanted to show you a couple of things. First of all, those are the customers that we're adding. Notice what's missing? See how there's no customer ID? We don't have to put one in because we set that up to that identity field. It'll automatically be put in for us. You don't want to put that in. If you've got something set up as an identity field, you don't want to manually add it. I'm not saying you can't get it to work, but that's considered poor practice. Why? Because if you're doing that, then why the heck did you set it up as basically an autofield if you're going to manually add this stuff? All right? So what you will want to do right now, everybody, okay? Go back over here where you've got your database name. Everybody see that where it says demodb.mdf? Can everybody see what I'm talking about? Right mouse click on that. And it should come up, and one of the options should be new query. Am I correct? All right, choose new query. When it comes up, this is what you want to add right here. This is case insensitive, but I'd recommend you do it the way I've shown it to you. So you're inserting into the customers table the company name, which will be these, the contact name, which will be these, the phone, which will be these. Make sure use single quotes, not double quotes. Unlike MySQL, SQL Server usually chokes on double quotes. So please put this in. I'm going to erase where it says Referential Integrity so you can see everything. When you get done with this, please look up on the screen. So, Christian says, I'm finished. Good. When you're done, you should be able to click that button right there. That should execute the query. And down below, it'll say, one record inserted. It'll probably say it 6 or 7 times. That means it worked. If you get an error, you either used a double quote or you left a single quote off or something like that. All right? Try it. If you have problems, errors, or whatever, raise your hand, please. Again, Evan, thank you for figuring out what the problem was and helping Chris with it. This has actually worked much better than I thought it was doing. The next thing we're going to do, and don't worry, not right now, in a few minutes, is we're going to put in the other records for the other table. I have 7 customers, but I have 20 orders. All right? You don't need to put tabs in here if you don't want to. I just did it so you could see where every field started and ended.
We're going to be done with this between 10 and 11 a.m. The rest of the period, I'm going to give you time to start typing in the code that's at the end of the handout I gave you. I'm also going to give you the first 2 hours tomorrow. So even if you're very typing proficient, you should be able to type in all that stuff by then. I will tell you, if you are in this class right now and you have either a D grade or an F grade, if you don't turn in the stuff from the rest of the semester, you won't pass. That's not a threat, that's not a promise, it's a statement of fact. So if you have not turned in that first SQL worksheet, you lost possibly 150 points. Same thing with the second one. Now, I'll still take them through this week, but you won't get full credit, but you'll get enough credit that it'll help you. I'll go right back to this, but if you please look up on the screen, please, everybody, even if you're still typing. What we're going to do next is the same kind of thing, but we're going to add orders. So if you turn up all the way to page, I think it's 11, on page 11, I'll have to shrink this down so you can see all of it, but on page 11, that's, one more. That's what you'll be putting in. So what I'm saying is, once you've got the query working, take that query window that you have with all that junk in it, just remove it. Just highlight all of it and remove it. Make sure that the query worked first, but once it did, then key in this. And that'll fill in the information, that'll be the data for your second table. All right, I'm going to go back to this one. Some people were still keying this stuff in, I believe. If you're keying in information and you want to take a quick break, then take your break. Pardon me? How can you see if it was done? Well, I'd say you're best off putting in the other thing with the date first. Otherwise, you can go in there and you can literally right in here, if you put in everything that it says, one to the record, remove everything, just do a select star for customers up here, run it. Down here, you should see all the information. Question just got asked, what if I put in this information and I want to see whether or not it worked? All right. If that's the case, if you put in everything and you've run the query, remove all this. Just remove all of it. And type in select star from customers. And it should show you that information when you run the query. All right. It should show you 7 customers. And they should be numbered 1000, 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, 1005, and 1006. Usually, I'm looking at it, you want it small, but usually when that happens, usually you're missing a whole sentence or a comma. I'm saying on one, so it doesn't make it when you get it. Why don't you take all that, highlight all that, copy it. Then, right mouse click on the data because they can choose. No, quite that.
So, there's two ways you can check it. The easiest way is just to do it. And type in select star from customers. Got it. From customers. Okay, well, right mouse click on it again, choose open again. Is there a degree that's spelled like that should not be done? Because when it says object name customer, there's something that doesn't want that about the data. That all looks fine. Open up the issues. That looks fine. Files. Right mouse click on the table table. And choose show table table. You can put it in that way too, you know what I'm saying? You don't have to put that in. Try to put in a record. So leave that blank, that's the idea. So come in there and put in Amazon, you know, you don't have to put the quotes, just type in Amazon, Bezos, and then the number. Highlight all that. Whatever. Right mouse click on it. Choose go back to right mouse click on the choose refreshers. Right mouse click on it. Choose try to type it in. Just in case you type it in. Let's go to the customers. Save everything that's there. That's good. So, new moments, type in select star from customers. I have no idea what that. No, everything you did looked fine to me.
Has everybody got this one? Okay, then I'll move to the next one then. Like I said, I've got to make it quite a bit smaller, or you can just use your handout, whatever's easiest for you. Because that's what you've got to type in. That's about as big as I can make it where you can see everything that's on there. All right? And again, that's page 11 of the handout that I gave you, if it's easier for you to do it that way. I'll be right back. If you've finished putting these in, all right, I'll go right back to the page, but if you finished, you can go to the next page And you can try running these commands to make sure they work in your query window. Don't save any of the queries. Don't save these inserts. Don't save any of them. But just keep coming up into your query window and put in these 8 commands. If you want a little bit more explanation on some of this stuff, I gave you a couple hyperlinks. If you're like, I don't care, then you don't care. All right? And I'll take your question in a second. And after you've gotten done with that, when you're to that point, then you can look at the last 4 pages, the 2 pages front and back of the handout I gave you. They have the code that you're going to be putting in to get this to work. And I'm going to give you the rest of the period until 10 o'clock tomorrow to work on this. And then at that time, I'm going to go over the code line by line. I'd like you to put all of it in, even the comments. This may be something that you end up putting out on your portfolio. It may not. Question? Okay, it says you can't have a null order ID. When you create the table, it's probably correct. So highlight all of the copies. Then right mouse click on tables. I bet this was click that down here over the table. And if you put in the order table, it only shows that one. Right mouse click on tables and then choose refresh. Oh yeah, that one. Okay, you didn't set that one up. In other words, click up here where it says order ID. You see it, click on it. Okay. Go in here and find your identity specification. And you're going to set that to true. Set the bottom, the 1 there, the bottom 1, you get 500. You're going to have to go back and click your update button again. Click update database. Now you should be able to close that table. All right. Yeah, you can try it again.
What's the difference between this and the MySQL?
They're both relational database management systems. The biggest difference between the two is some of the syntactical stuff. For instance, the stuff that we're doing here, this stuff, MySQL would take it even if you use double quotes there. SQL Server won't. SQL Server's been optimized to work with Microsoft products. MySQL Server, or MySQL has not. MySQL works better with Oracle because MySQL is owned by Oracle. So, I mean, it's just, I wanted to show you MySQL first for 2 reasons. One, so you've got 2 different RDBMSs you learn. Second, I figured when you use PHPMyAdmin, it was graphical enough that people could figure out what was going on. I thought that would make it easier for going through this part. Again, if you have finished putting in these records, these 20 records that are on page 11, on page 12, what is shown on there are 8 different queries. You should be able to run each of those queries. They all should work. All right? And if you get done with that, then again, the last 2 pages, front, back, have got the code on here. All right? Don't start typing in the code literally. I mean, for the buttons, double-click the button, put the code in. See what I'm saying? And I put some of the code right in the click event. I'm like, you know, that's fine. I don't care. Once everybody's done, I want to show you something in those click events also, because you may end up getting an error when you run yours, so I want to show you how to fix it right away. Has everybody finished this? Has everybody got all of the records in? You've all tried a select star from customers and a select star from orders to make sure your data was in there and it was correct. All right. Again, then if you've done that, if you want to learn more about this, as I mentioned, you can go out. This is a very long article from redgate.com. As it says, server functions, the basics, and that's what it is. You may not think so when you're reading it, but that's what it's designed to be. Chris, you asked that question too about the differences between them. Some of the built-in functions you have in MySQL work much differently in SQL Server and vice versa. All right. They have pretty much the same built-in functions. So again, you can run these. All right. And then you can go to the code and start typing in the code. The code has 2 or 3 places we're going to have to add a line or two. All right. I'll show you what those are, but if you want to start typing today, if you have not finished SQL worksheet number 1 and or SQL worksheet number 2, please work on those now so you can hand them in to me. All right? We basically have done those as a class. So for the first worksheet, you have to add the newfangled way of doing joins. For the second one, when we did the updates and the like, and you were supposed to update 8 records, we only updated 1, so you have to add the other ones. About half of you have turned in the first worksheet. Those should all be graded. And about half of you have turned in the second worksheet. I have not graded those yet. My hope is what you're working on right now, this stuff, you'll be able to give me by Friday. All right? Again, you're going to have basically an hour and a half to work on it today, and you'll have 2 hours to work on it tomorrow. When we start tomorrow, please listen to this. You don't have to look, but please listen to this. When we start up tomorrow, I'm going to show you that little bit that you have to add because it may not work the way that I gave it to you. I didn't realize I printed out an older copy. I could print out another copy, but then I'm wasting so darn much paper. And it's very few things you have to change. So I'll show you what those are tomorrow morning.